Hey, my friends, how are you? Welcome to another complete video with all the details of what happened on the track in the sprint race, which is the shorter race that gives drivers a few extra points, which in a championship as competitive as this season's can make all the difference. But before anything else, subscribe and turn on notifications, since that's the only way you won't miss any details of everything that happens in the world of Formula One. And if you like this video full of information, leave a like to support our work. So without wasting any time, let's get to what happened on the track, since several teams arrived at this sprint with good expectations, among them Mercedes, which showed a good performance in practice and especially in yesterday's qualifying, with Hamilton believing he had a car for pole position, but was hampered by a yellow flag at the wrong time that made him lose a lot of time. Ferrari also showed a very competitive car, saving on updates, but getting the car's settings right and positioning itself in front with a chance of taking pole position. And finally, Red Bull, which has been suffering for several weeks with poor performance and many complaints, has now apparently improved a little after several important updates, including a new floor, with team members praising the car a lot and Verstappen complaining much less. So much so that the driver secured pole position for the sprint. Now it remains to be seen whether the race pace of this car will be as strong as the fast lap pace. McLaren is a little discreet, but Norris needs to take as many points as possible from Verstappen if he still wants to dream of the title this season. Well, right at the start of the sprint race, which lasts 19 laps, Max Verstappen got off to a great start and defended his lead, with Lando Norris going after Russell and reaching second place, with the Ferrari cars right behind and no serious incidents at that time. Also on that first lap, Leclerc went after George Russell and managed to gain the position, with Russell not letting him off easy and the two driving side by side for almost half the lap, with the Mercedes driver doing better at the end and maintaining third place at the end of that first lap. Up ahead, Verstappen already had a good lead over Lando Norris, approaching 1 second, which protected him from the opening of the movable wing. On lap 2, Sainz went after Leclerc and took fourth place from his teammate, with Leclerc also not giving in and getting his revenge in a good dispute that persisted in the following laps, a great battle between the two drivers. Further back, Sergio Perez tried to make up for it, but it wasn't going well and he made several mistakes, including going off the track and almost crashing into Yuki Tsunoda's car, which wouldn't be good at this stage of the Mexican's career. On lap 5, George Russell got very close to Norris in search of second place, threatening to overtake him on the following laps. And Sainz finally got that position, with Hamilton taking advantage and also getting closer to the fight. On lap 6, Russell tried for the first time to gain that position very aggressively, with Norris defending himself well and staying in second place for now. During this part of the race, McLaren warned Norris that Verstappen's tires were very worn, perhaps trying to encourage their driver so that Verstappen wouldn't get too far away. On lap 7, Fernando Alonso was overtaken by this week's rookie Liam Lawson, complaining that Lawson closed him too much before turn 1. Tell me, was Alonso complaining too much, or was Lawson really pushing too hard? And since Russell was unable to overtake Norris, Carlos Sainz went after him and managed to gain that position, taking third place, with Russell also having to defend himself from Leclerc, who was at a good pace in search of that position. On the following lap, Leclerc managed to overtake him and is now in fourth place. Meanwhile, up ahead, Norris was trying everything to get closer to Verstappen. But on lap 11, the gap between them was still 2 seconds, with Verstappen controlling his pace well and trying to secure those precious points in the championship. Returning to Perez, the Red Bull driver tried to climb the pack, but had difficulty gaining position from Tsunoda, who tried to defend himself heavily and recover his position after being overtaken. In yet another beautiful dispute in this race that was extremely busy in terms of overtaking and disputes for position. Speaking a little more about Tsunoda, he and Piastri also had a great fight for position for several laps, with Piastri also having difficulty climbing the field. And this shows how close the cars are in this part of the championship, something that is excellent for us who want the races to be as close as possible. Up ahead, with 2 laps to go, the two Ferraris caught up with Lando Norris, with chances to overtake on the final lap, with Verstappen opening up a safe lead and just driving his car to the finish line. And on lap 19, Sainz went after Norris and gained that position, with a mistake by Norris in turn 1, going past the braking point and losing that second place, not giving up and staying behind Sainz, but having to defend himself from Leclerc, who wanted that third place at all costs. Luckily for Norris, Leclerc ended up making a mistake and was unable to get after the McLaren driver. So, in the end, Max Verstappen showed that Red Bull is back in the running for victories and crossed the finish line in first place, with Ferrari's Carlos Sainz in second and Lando Norris in third. Rounding out the drivers who scored points, Leclerc was fourth, George Russell was fifth, Lewis Hamilton sixth, Magnussen seventh, and Hülkenberg eighth. Perez didn't even manage to score any points, as did Piastri, a poor result for Norris and Verstappen's teammates. So, what are the positives and negatives of the sprint? First, the positives are the enormous balance between several cars, mainly Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes, making it practically impossible to predict who would do best in the disputes, since everything was very close, with several changes of position, and a taste of what we can see in the race this Sunday. And also Red Bull, which after suffering a lot, seems to be back in the fight at the front, with Verstappen showing a very solid performance and his car responding, allowing him to control the pace and win another victory in the sprint race. On the negative side, Lewis Hamilton was a little below expectations, as were Perez and Piastri, with the Aston Martin cars, which brought several updates for this weekend, also falling short of achieving a reasonable performance. Well, with all that, we've finished another video, but stay tuned, because soon we'll have the qualifying for the United States GP, which again promises a lot of competition and a lot of balance. So, tell me here in the comments, what did you think of this busy sprint race? Did you like it? And what are your expectations for the rest of the weekend?